and welcome to the video. I'm doing something today which I've not really seen around online before. I've got 3 different Wave Cruiser paddleboards in the background, and what I'm going to be doing is blowing them all up with 4 different methods. 2 manual, 2 electric, to find out which is truly the best way of blowing up these boards. Now the pumps I've got range from anything that come free with the paddleboards all the way up to one that costs £169, which is incredibly expensive for a lot of people, more than the cost of their paddleboard. But we're going to find out which is the best, which is the most effective, and more importantly, is the expensive one actually worth it? So first pump I'm going to jump into is our single chambered manual pump. Now these are the sort of ones you're going to get free with your paddleboard when you buy them. You normally have to screw on the end hose. This is actually brand new. I've got it out of a packet this morning, and you should be ready to go. Let's time it, let's give it a benchmark. We'll see how long it's going to take us to pump one paddleboard up with a single chambered pump, and we'll try and give it our all as well. Lock that in place. There you go. Stopwatch set to 0. 3, 2, 1. All right. And we're done. So with our single chambered pump, we managed to do it in 3 minutes and 4 seconds total. Not sure that you can see that on there, which is actually pretty quick considering how hot it is. Yeah, that's not bad. That's a really good benchmark. The next upgrade we've got from our single chambered pump is up to a double chambered pump. Okay, so this means technically I'm going to get twice the amount of air in with every single pump, and it pumps up and down as well. I actually did get this one free with one of our big paddle boards we've got at the centre down the road. Yeah, normally these are going to run you around about 40 or 50 quid, so similar to sort of a really cheap electric pump, which is what we're going to move on to next. Just like last time, we'll get our pump connected up. I've had this one a while, so it's a little bit loose, so you kind of have to twist it in at a particular angle, get it nice and tight. Once it is locked in, it's ready. We're ready to go with both of our chambers and see if we can beat our 3 minutes 4 from the last one. Okay, so I'll reset that timer. I've screenshotted the last time. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, start. I'm going to jump straight into this. Let's see how long it's going to take to pressure. Done. 15 psi. Done. And we did it in 2 minutes 27 seconds. Oh. Right, there we go. Now I've got to be honest, as someone who doesn't really pump boards up often, because we mainly have our boards pumped up, or I use electric pumps a lot of the time, that was hard, really hard. I mean, the second one was definitely faster than the first one, that single chamber. So we did this in 3 minutes and 4 seconds, I believe, and this came in a bit closer to 2.5 minutes. So both actually quite fast. I mean, I don't think the electric pumps are going to beat that manual time, but you are then knackered for when you get on the water. So there is that trade-off, to be honest. I wouldn't say the double chamber pump is worth it. Reason I say that is as soon as you get to those higher pressures, it makes it really, really hard to pump any extra air in. In fact, it becomes twice, if not 4 times as difficult as this single chambered one does, which, let's face it, came free with the paddleboard. So the next thing we're going to move on to, obviously, is from our manual pumps, we're going to go to our electric pumps. I've got 2 to test here, and they're sort of either ends of the scale, so you get a feel for what a low amount of money looks like on an electric pump, and quite, well, pretty much the most expensive pump you could buy looks like as well. So this first one, branded Outdoor Master, but I suspect it's a label slapped on literally an electric pump that has just come from a factory with a million other electric pumps in China somewhere. Now this thing cost me, I think, £52. You can get this on Amazon for as little as about 41 now, so it really is one of the cheapest pumps on the market, and we've been using it all season up at our paddleboard centre. The only thing is you do have to plug it into the car. It's currently plugged into my micro behind me, but obviously, yeah, it's plugged into the car socket. It's 12 volt, it gets the job done. This will only go to about 12 psi before it just gives up. It is meant to go to 20, but it just doesn't, and I think that probably speaks volumes. But we are going to do a test between this to 10 psi and the other one, which I'm going to show you now. The next one is called the Psych Plus. I suspect I'm saying that wrong, but anyway, that's what I'm going to call it, the Psych Plus. It's fully remote, so you plug this thing in, you charge it up, and it's meant to blow up 7 paddleboards in one. Now it is expensive, so bottom end of the scale we had about £50 or so. This one cost me $169, about $200. So yeah, incredibly expensive. It has got a fully digital display that comes up. There you go, it's quite nice and bright, gives you all the indications, all the good stuff you want, and it's allegedly the fastest 240 volt pump on the market. So we're going to find out whether that's true or not. First things first, we're going to race both of these pumps to 10 psi. Okay, so as I said, we are going to race them to 10 psi. We'll see what the difference is. Both of them are actually quite easy to set, to be fair, and both of them are digital, so they will knock off when they get to 10 psi as well. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so we're 40 seconds in, and this isn't even a contest, as you can kind of see. Okay, so the Cyc Plus is done, and that did it dead in just under 3 minutes. That is pretty impressive to get to 10 psi, in my opinion. Obviously, the cheap one's still going, but let's see how long it takes. Okay, so I didn't really realise how crap this little electric pump actually is. But we're currently at 7 minutes 43, and I've just checked the pressure and it's only at 5.5 psi. That's pretty poor, isn't it, in comparison? It's been that long, even Floki has moved on to one of our paddle boards to have a bit of a sunbathe, haven't you, mate? But then maybe that's the plus of it. It takes a bit longer, you can have a sunbathe. It can't have much longer left, sure. There it is, it's made it. 9 minutes 30 in the end. What a dramatic difference. Our cheap one coming in at basically, let's call it 10 minutes. Our fast electric one over there, 3 minutes, which is phenomenal. So far, that is a pretty impressive run for this electric pump. Obviously, yeah, slower than the manuals, even to just get to 10 psi. However, you haven't had to do anything. So for that, I do feel that's pretty good. However, so far we've only tested it to 10 psi, and this thing has still got some pretty bold claims. It claims it can blow up 7 paddleboards to 15 psi, and each of them in no more than 7 minutes. So what I'm going to do right now, I've got 3 paddleboards behind me. They're all fully deflated. I'm going to set this thing back to 15 psi. We're going to obviously go through those paddleboards as fast as we can, and we're going to see. Now, in my mind, for this to be impressive, I want to see something between 15 and 20 minutes for all of them done. If that's the sort of result we're coming back with, then bloody hell, that is absolutely amazing. Okay, so we are ready to go. I've got my timer. I've also got the power button. This is set to 15 psi. Okay, 3, 2, 1. It did the first paddleboard from 0 to 15 psi in 5 minutes dead. That is unbelievably impressive. If it can keep the pace up, I mean, that's just phenomenal. That was my fault, but anyway, that was number 2 actually done. This is getting very hot. 7 in a row seems optimistic, but we're going to go for our 3rd one. I won't tell you what the time is, but it is still quite impressive. Let's go again. There we go. This is our number 3 paddleboard blown up. That is genuinely phenomenal. 16 minutes and 22 seconds, and we've blown up 3 paddleboards to 15 psi. I'm slightly lost for words, if I'm honest. I mean, overall, I'm still slightly speechless, to be honest. I mean, this Cyclist pump has done unbelievably well. My only criticism of it is unbelievably hot. In fact, around where the pipe and valve is, it's sort of boiling hot. Almost you don't want to touch it. Now, this thing claims that it will do 7 paddleboard pumps in a row without stopping. I'm not sure whether I would want my expensive paddleboard pump getting that hot for that long. That would mean it'd have to go for another over 20 minutes. I just don't feel like, considering how hot it is, it's got that in it. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but what a phenomenal piece of kit anyway. So the fastest this blew up one paddleboard was 5 minutes. That was the benchmark. 15 psi in 5 minutes for what, £170? So yeah, is it worth it for you? Your decision. Our cheap one was completely shit. That's fine. It's just rubbish. I've known it's rubbish throughout most of the year, and to be honest, I don't know why we've still got it. It's probably going to find its way to the nearest bin, I imagine. It couldn't blow up a paddleboard, even 10 psi in just under 10 minutes, which is pretty poor. I suspect if it went to 15 psi, it probably would have been 3 times as long as the expensive one, which is funny because it's about a third of the price. That's not to say there isn't good cheap pumps out there. I'm sure there is. I have a lot of cheap kit, especially paddleboarding. Some of it is phenomenal and a lot better than the expensive stuff. But yeah, that one in particular, Outdoor Master, anything that looks like that, probably the same pump I would avoid at all costs. Now we move over to our manual pumps. These are actually the fastest things that we blow up our boards with today. This was particularly fast. This was obviously 2.5 minutes, but as I said, quite expensive, and realistically you're going to break your arms doing it, so that's your choice. But if you want one that's faster and you've got a bit of strength in your arms, a little bit more than me, then maybe double chambered is the way forward for you. But I would say, of this entire test, if you were to take in value for money, speed to blow up the paddleboard, and ease of use as well, our cheap pump that came free with our paddleboards is the best by far. This thing's single chambered, it's easy to pump. If you put a bit of work into it, we got our board up in just shy of 3 minutes. I mean, that's pretty impressive for the pump that comes free. Even the one that costs £170 couldn't beat one that came free with the board. So there you go, that's the conclusion, isn't it? I mean, you want an expensive one? I couldn't recommend anything better than this. In fact, I've never seen a piece of kit that's phenomenal. But if you're thinking, if you've got one paddleboard and it's just you going out on the water, just stick with the free one.